Security and privacy are serious concerns. Most don't know how serious. We will review some recent history to see how we got here, and what is being done, and what could be done. The theme must be repeated. Security and privacy is not a game. In the late 1990s, Thomas Drake was involved in the internal NSA debate on using ThinThread, a low-cost, limited-ability tool, versus Trailblazer, a high-cost and highly invasive tool to collect all phone and internet traffic in the US and elsewhere. He became a whistleblower. How many today know of him? In 2002, William Binney challenged the waste of money on Trailblazer and it being a mass data collection tool. The FBI raided his home and met him at gunpoint while he was in the shower. How many today know of him? In 2005, Russ Tice exposed unlawful NSA spying. It has only gotten worse. How many today know of him? In 2006, Mark Klein exposed NSA spying via room 641A in San Francisco. There are now dozens of those rooms active today, and the spying continues to a greater degree. How many today know of him? In 2013, Edward Snowden exposed NSA spying with reportedly thousands of documents. Periodically, a few documents have been made public. To date, the majority remain hidden. The spying continues. How many today know of him? In 2018, while the spying continues, the focus has turned to censorship. While many names are in the news, Alex Jones got the most press and is both loved and hated. In a few years, how many will know of him? The issue of privacy and censorship periodically makes the news, but is then quickly forgotten. The majority don't care and will gleefully live in servitude. If that is you, this is a waste of your time. There is a minority that does care, and some know that challenging the system can be costly. They are the ones that are concerned for themselves, people they know, and perhaps even people in far-off land that they don't know. The way we lose our privacy and freedom is by the controllers offering convenience, something cool, or getting it for free. Just like the convenience of getting a loaf of bread while you are at Walmart rather than your neighbor's bakery down the street. Tools that are offered with ease, from email to video, ignoring the fact that you are the product. For the majority, they will take it. Have you noticed the neighborhood bakery is out of business? If you're offered the latest features with lots of eye candy, if you're made to feel like you have the best, if you can become part of the crowd, you again are the product. You have been bought. If your servitude can be obtained, especially in ways that are not obvious, the cost of giving away goods and services to you is quickly returned by the control that is achieved. It is no different than the dirty old man offering a kid a lollipop to get into the car. If you want privacy, if you want freedom, it is not convenient, it is not cool, and it is definitely not free. There are two vital and related concepts to keep in the forefront of your mind: your data and your communications. Your data are bits of information you have, such as an account number, or information about you, such as what you ate for breakfast. Your communications includes things like your phone calls, what you viewed on the internet, and what you say in public places. They are related. For example, there is data about your phone call, such as when it occurred, the numbers, locations, and possibly who was on the call, the voice recording of the call, and the transcription of the call. All of these pieces of data are collected for the most trivial call and stored permanently, no matter who you are. These little bits of information about you can then be collated into what is called big data. A growing number of techniques are used to examine these minute details about you, to know you, and control you in subtle or overt ways. There is a good example from history of what can be done with these little pieces of information we leave in letters, emails, and phone conversations. Consider how often you quote something, some news you heard, a line from a movie or a book, or the Bible. Using essentially big data techniques on the collection of personal documents from the first few centuries, you can virtually rebuild the entire New Testament from quoted passages alone. Piecing together data about you forms a Bible about you that the holder can use to know you and control you. Consider how this control is done. If you're with a group of friends and are discussing a song, book, or movie, and all but you have a fairly unified feeling about the subject, you might be willing to occasionally have a somewhat different view. If it is your norm, you will build a reputation. If this is co-workers, it might be more uncomfortable to be out of the norm. If it is a boss, you might be all the more unwilling to be outspoken. This should give you a hint of some of the ways you can be influenced or controlled. Consider the idea amplified a bit. You're part of a group that collectively does something unethical, immoral, or illegal. Perhaps it's a minor issue, or it might be a major issue. Collectively, you all know you're involved. Collectively, there's a lot to lose or a price to pay. How free are you to expose what has occurred or is occurring? Perhaps it is the collective waste of time that is billed to a third party. Perhaps lies are told to enhance status or profit. Perhaps it is harm caused to others for collective gain. If you are a part, if you have received gain, you are now controlled. You are no longer free. When the collective is a large institution, such as government, corporate, religious, or fraternal, the control wielded is immense. Violation of the institutional mandate can be costly. It might be just reputation or funds. It can get as severe as prison, torture, or death. At this point, privacy matters. If you have given up your privacy on the trivial, don't be surprised when the costs grow. To address privacy and censorship, a myriad of new products and services have come to the market. Some do indeed provide less censorship and more privacy, but in general remain the same thing with a different label. There may be new people or features, but essentially it is a different set of policies. Over time, policies change. You will probably be better off today, but what about tomorrow? The new software does the same as the old with some changes or improvements, but still doesn't address the underlying technical problems. Tracking, especially the metadata collection that encryption does not hide, and takedown possibilities remain. Sometimes this could be inconvenient, other times it could be vital. The news we see ranges from the adventurous kid at home who breaks into a server, malicious parties that infect computers with ransomware, or the organized effort to steal or manipulate data. While this can be exciting and a concern, it remains minor compared to what can be or is done. While the censorship of the Great Firewall of China is overt, in the US it is done more subtly by techniques like shadow banning or completely closing individual accounts. Some people using services provided by Google, Facebook, and Twitter have seen this firsthand. Then there are the direct government shutdowns. For example, Mega Upload, based out of Hong Kong, was started in 2005 and taken down by the US government in 2012. Silk Road, started in 2011, was shut down by the FBI in 2013. Don't be distracted by the political position, legality, or morality of the sites, but rather note that they were shut down by an administrative authority. If that authority decides that what you do or what you proclaim is contrary to the authority, you will be silenced. In the West, we might not be concerned with the proclamation or dialogue on Buddhism or Christianity. In Tibet or the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you are censored, and it can be fatal. An authority has a technical advantage because the system is designed for central control. This is done by policy and not a technical requirement. The solution is to work within the system while having the technical ability to work around it. How do you solve rather than patch the problem? Chauffeur Nexus is building the tools to allow the user to make decisions about their data and communications. Third parties, from friends to large organizations, can act as technical support or offer additional services, but the user remains in ultimate control and can use a myriad of third parties. The model allows for working well with existing centrally defined and controlled systems, while giving the ability to work autonomously in small communities, and those communities can interact without requiring the global system. The technology is being brought to life in stages. Be a part. An obvious and the simplest effort is the control of domain names. The domain name system is designed as a rental rather than ownership model, as it generates billions of dollars in revenue and has given ICANN problems with excessive funds. With that model, the controlling party can, at will or by direction of another authority, remove domain names from the system. This design is done by policy, not due to technical requirements. It is there for control. Using rootless domains, as described in 2012, numerous peer top-level domains can interoperate. the user is able to prioritize or use private TLDs. This starts with the simple technique of querying a TLD rather than the root for other TLDs. This opens the floodgates to TLDs without the six-figure cost from ICANN and allows for a TLD to sell or give away domains permanently by using digital signatures. True ownership is possible. Absolute control is not. The basic service of email works like normal in Shofar Nexus, but when an email with links to external images is received by the server, those images are fetched and embedded into the email at the server. While this can make the email larger, the tracking that the external images provide is removed. The common technique is a single-pixel transparent image that is solely used to know when you open an email and from where. You don't see it, but you are seen. With the Shofar Nexus server, the images are fetched by the server as soon as it is received. This does report to the tracker that the email was opened, but the time is when it was sent, and the location is the server, not the recipient. The recipient remains free of tracking of if, when, where, and how often the email was read. Hiding our communications with encryption does keep your data safe, but still exposes the metadata, the information about your communications. The metadata includes IP addresses of the sender and the receiver, which can also indicate where both parties are, the time of the communications, the size of the communications, which by itself can give a lot of clues. The Matryoshka protocol, first described in 2013, uses continuous fixed-length encrypted traffic to hide all data and all metadata. Unlike Tor, which was designed by the intelligence community and exposes metadata to the intelligence community, Matryoshka offers no metadata to any party. Anonymous and untraceable communications becomes truly possible. A large issue is IP addresses. We are given the wonder that we can address other computers located anywhere in the world. With IPv6 and the Internet of Things, you can individually select any light bulb in your home, and so can the state. With this huge single address-based design comes control. The central authority in control of all or part of the address space can decide when you simply don't exist. With private routing, which is built on top of Matryoshka, only the sending party knows the route taken to get to the destination. Therefore, no authority is needed and no IP shutdown is possible. Communications within a community never has to leave that community. The cell phone is history's greatest tracking device. Initially, it maintained a constant periodic connection to local cell towers to make sure it could be found. As technology advanced, rather than removing that constant connection requirement, which is possible, it was enhanced to report in details about you. The obvious is your location, as the modern phone has a GPS receiver built in. You are followed. Where you are now is always known, but also where you were when is recorded. While some revert to non-smartphones, given time, even the simplest devices will include at least GPS and other things to keep tabs on you. Remember, too, that a fundamental feature of any phone is a microphone. Don't assume it is off when you're not on a call. The design of Shofar Nexus is to completely replace all software on the phone and not to be a place to download tracking tools disguised as games. The constant tracking can be partially or fully eliminated by not remaining constantly connected to a tower. Your movements are no longer recorded by third parties, and your microphone is not recording every word. The portfolio concept was seeded in 2011 with the intent of allowing the user's data to remain only the user's data, storable in third-party servers, but unavailable to those third parties. Portfolios bring a variety of security features. A portfolio is made up of one or more 1 GB files that are fully encrypted. How little or how much data an individual has is private to the individual. There is no external evidence of which files are related to the user. Data can be stored on third-party servers, and the server never has access to the raw data. Using Matryoshka, the server would not know where the data is being accessed from or who owns it. Without the passwords, there is no indication of how many files exist on a given device. A device, such as a cell phone, has multiple passwords. One allows full access. Another allows exposing partial data that may be useful under duress, while giving no indication more data exists. Yet another could cause a self-destruct of the data on the device, but still recoverable from third-party backups that only the user knows exist. Data sharing, such as what is done with social media, can be done where the user can select what is shared with whom on a per-item basis. It can be with a particular individual, or groups, or completely public. Combining portfolios with Matryoshka allows for full, private, and anonymous communications, data storage, and information sharing. When using portfolios, your data is yours. Period. Chauffeur Nexus is not a corporation, but simply software placed in the public domain. A big concern with smaller or local service providers is what happens if they disappear. Consider the farmers market model. Providers come and go, but the products remain available. Apply that model to your communications and data services. With portfolios, your data remains only yours. When you use multiple providers for services, if one disappears, no data is lost, and most services continue as if nothing happened. Continuing at the farmers market, if you find a vendor that you have an affinity for or distaste of, you can simply move your business. In the corporate world, large institutions swallow up smaller ones until choice is removed from the customer. The dazzle and aura of the large draws the attention of the masses, and the smaller shrivel up and die. The customer must make a conscious decision not to let this happen. When monopolies or duopolies form for a particular product or service, the farmers market model no longer applies, and your options are gone. With Chauffeur Nexus, services are provided by anyone with a desire and ability. The user has a choice. Security and privacy are serious concerns. Misstep can cost reputation, revenue, and even your life. Chauffeur Nexus is a serious effort to address those concerns. Consider your options of providing services using Chauffeur Nexus or using services from a Chauffeur Nexus provider. You might also consider using Chauffeur Nexus software itself for custom applications. Visit chauffernexus.com and learn more.